Welcome to On the Issues with Michele Goodwin at Ms. Magazine. As you know, we're a show that reports, rebels, and we tell it just like it is. On our show, we center your concerns about rebuilding our nation and the promise of equality. We examine the past as we think about the future. And in this episode, we are bringing you lots of joy as part of our Ms. Studios Rewind. It's part of our Black History Month celebration for 2025. And what could be better than to be joined by the late Anita Pointer and her brother Fritz Pointer as we celebrate Black History Month? It is an episode that is so full of joy as we talk about their family legacy and history, the award-winning memoir Fairytale, the Pointer Sisters family story, and as you hear Anita sing and Fritz crooning in the background. So sit back, take a listen, and have a bit of February joy brought to us by Anita and Fritz Pointer, the Pointer Sisters.
Okay.
So
right.
it is wonderful to be with you, Fritz Pointer and Anita Pointer. Oh my goodness.
Hello, my
Oh,
pleasure.
we are. I'm
It's a
excited.
thrill to be here with you.
myself.
It is a
Yeah.
thrill, and I'm holding in my hands right now Fairytale, the Pointer
Oh.
Sisters family story. It's amazing.
Oh.
And our listeners will be able to go to the website. Yes, there it is. There it is. And
ready.
look at the book and order the book. So
Yes,
let's
it's
turn
great.
to a discussion about your new award-winning memoir, Fairytale, the Pointer Sisters family story. The memoir chronicles your coming-of-age story as artists
Yeah.
and 48-year musical career. That cannot be.
B.
Cannot be. And
Yeah.
my
I
goodness.
mean, we started at the end in the 60s,
Amazing.
you know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Just never stopped until 2015 for
Look,
me.
in the book, you describe the challenges you faced to get where you are today, the joy of making music, trials and tribulations of the music industry, and your journey navigating economic, social, cultural, and political realities and change. So I want to just start there. You got started in the 60s. What was it like getting started, and what motivated you to get on stage?
Well, what motivated me is I saw my sisters Bonnie and June singing at Fillmore West in San Francisco. They were with the Northern California State Youth Choir, and that's the choir that had the hit out "Oh Happy Day."
Mm-hmm.
And I saw them performing, and I lost my mind. I just wanted to be up there with them so bad. I was crying, so I couldn't, I just couldn't take it. I wanted to be in that choir. So the next day I quit my job and I joined the choir.
My goodness, what was the job that you quit? What job was that?
Blake Matuire and Sweeney, a law office in Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
And I was receptionist studying to be a legal secretary. I had gone to several seminars and I was wanting to be a legal secretary. But that took it for me. And when I saw that chance, I said, I got to take this chance. And I took it and I joined the choir.
Okay.
We rehearsed for a few weeks and then we were all on our way to New York and to perform with the choir. But the morning of the trip, and Mama had gotten a little loan to give me and Bonnie and June a little cash to take on the road, $300, $100 a piece. But we were ready to go. Our bags were packed and at the door, and someone called and told my mother that the trip has been canceled.
Oh my goodness.
We were ready to leave that moment.
Yes. How devastating.
So then I had to go get another job.
My goodness. All right. So let's pull back a little bit for our audience so that they understand the family. So Fritz, why don't we start with you tell us a little bit about the family, the brothers, the sisters, the parents. What's the family story?
Well, we introduce the family in the book in Oakland, California. We came out to Oakland from Arkansas, from Little Rock, Arkansas. And our parents were part of the Great Migration. And so when we got to Oakland and lived at a couple of places, even in the projects in Oakland, actually, but then our family started growing and parents had to get another house. And so we got a house in Oakland on 18th Street. And before too long, we had other relatives coming from Arkansas, our grandparents, our uncles and aunt. My mother's brother and his wife and their children. And so as it ended up, ended up being 15 of us in this house.
15.
15.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had a ball.
We sure did.
I mean, there's nothing greater, particularly for a young guy, to grow up with 4 sisters.
My goodness.
And 4 fine sisters who got fine friends.
And so, yes.
Oh, Lord,
so the Pointer household was a happy household in spite of our, relative poverty. Our mother had to work in the fields and go down to the fields and pick beans and strawberries and all kinds of stuff to feed us.
This was in California, so this is not part of the Arkansas story. This is your mother
after the move.
After the move in California.
Oh yes. And so we, we were not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but we were a happy family. The singing around the house, our mother sang all the time. She would sing no matter what.
She
and
sure
our dad
did.
was quite the disciplinarian, but also a calm and.
And what was your dad doing? Was he also doing agriculture? Was he doing something else?
No, our dad at the time worked. He was first worked at General Electric in Oakland.
Yeah, he sure did.
General Electric until the church was able to afford him a salary of a modest salary, but he had another job. Yes.
Yeah,
he had to have that other job. And since we're celebrating Juneteenth too, it matters something that you said, Fritz, which is that the family came from Arkansas and that it was part of that great North migration. It's going to help people to understand what that was about. Why were Black folks leaving Arkansas? Why did your family have to leave?
Well, I'll say that quickly, and I'll let Anita, get in on this too. I remember my grandfather, by when Granddaddy Fritz, he was called.
Granddaddy Fritz.
Granddaddy Fritz would say, either I am going to kill somebody or I'm going to be killed. Because I cannot stand this. He didn't add all this, but that's what he, based upon the Jim Crow system there, and the fact that our mother was a very, biased, but a very attractive woman. And he said, I've got to protect my daughter. And so we've got to move. We cannot stay here. Either somebody's going to kill us or we're going to get killed because we cannot stand this system. And so we packed up, and at least our family packed up and moved to Oakland, California.
There were lots of.
And you said there was a story where you said they tried to take the house, saying he hadn't made his mortgage payments.
That's right.
And luckily, he had saved every receipt.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And so within your family, you have that Jim Crow story. Because that's a Jim Crow story, right? With families being threatened, with being removed from their house. And when you talk about, again, to help our listeners understand, when you're talking about Granddaddy Fritz saying that he has to protect his daughter, he's not just talking about protect his daughter because, she's going to go on a date. We're talking about the fact that Black women were regularly and routinely raped and subjected to sexual assaults. And so it was Granddaddy protecting his daughter from the prospect of that, and then no one being punished for doing those kinds of things. So Anita, the family arrives in California, and there are siblings. Give us the order of the siblings. Who are the siblings?
Aaron's the oldest brother.
Okay.
Fritz is next. Fritz is the younger brother. And then Ruth is next, and then I'm number 4. And then Bonnie, and June was the baby.
And June was the baby. And ultimately, you all, after you get so excited seeing your sisters on stage, that you quit your job at the law firm.
I sure
and,
did.
and at
I had
some
to take the
point,
chance.
you had to take the chance. And so many of our listeners, so many women sort of confront that like point about when they have to take a chance. But you took a chance, and eventually you all took a chance and you became the Pointer Sisters. Tell us about that evolution. How did you become the Pointer Sisters?
Well, we were the little Pointer Sisters in church, but even though we were never little, we were the big little Pointer Sisters. But me and Bonnie and June started doing backup singing. And we did a lot in the studio in San Francisco, different groups, Taj Mahal, Elvin Bishop, Grace Slick.
Wow.
Esther Phillips.
Esther Phillips, yes. And Sylvester and his hot band.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we worked with him. And you know, I always felt like one of these days we are going to be up front. But that was a great tool for learning how to be in the back and how to treat people who are behind you, you know? Wow. It really, really made a total difference because we didn't come out doing no diva crap, you know, and we were just, we knew what it felt like to be the backup.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah. And and it's rare, isn't it, that backup singers make their way to the front.
That's the truth. That's so true. And especially when it's three of them, usually they break the groups up and one comes out, you know, and the rest of the group kind of fades away.
But that didn't happen for you. What was the break? What was it that got you to the front?
We were performing backup singing with Elvin Bishop at the Whiskey A Go-Go here in LA. And Jerry Wexler, who was Aretha's producer at the time, saw us with Elvin Bishop and called our manager, who was David Rubinson, and told him, I want those girls. I want to sign them. I want to sign these girls tonight. And he got the deal right away. And we were off and gone to New Orleans first, and then to Jackson, Mississippi. Our first big record deal came from Jerry Wexler.
Wow. And were you surprised when it happened?
Yeah, but I knew it was coming someday. I was just kind of surprised it happened that way, you know, not like in an office where we're sitting down negotiating and all this kind of stuff, you know, but yeah, but I was just so honored that Aretha's producer liked us. Liked us enough to want to sign us to his record label. And that was Atlantic Records. And that was the first deal we got.
And what year was that? Do you remember?
Ooh, oh God.
71, I believe. Or it could have been 69, but early.
Yeah, like around 1969, 70, I think it was. I don't even remember what year that was.
So you got your first deal then.
Yeah.
And so Fritz, where are you in all of this? So they've got their deal, because at some point you're on the road with them. At some point you're wearing a manager's hat before you just have too much of it all.
You know, it's not easy, you know, working with family, you know, particularly the young sisters, you know, and it took me a while to understand and to realize really, and to be really conscious of the stature that they had achieved. And so when they were doing Carol Burnett and Flip Wilson and the Cher Show, well, to me, it was like, hey, you know, okay, it wasn't, I really didn't quite comprehend the bigness of it, if you will. And so, you know, they hired me as a road manager because I needed work, first of all, and I appreciated that so much. But then as a road manager, I had certain responsibilities that I tended to shirk because I was a college-educated dude. And so, you know, I would be sitting reading my New York Times, and they're saying, hey, you got to check this stage floor. It's got holes in it. You didn't see those? You didn't see those holes in the stage floor? This was in New York City at the Madison Square Garden. I said, but anyway, that was my first faux pas. The next one was when they were doing the Carol Burnett show and asked me, you know, during a break if I would go get some burgers. And I said, hey, I'm reading my New York Times here. Can I finish my New York? And then, I don't know who said it. It may have been June. Who said, "But look, we're stars, Fritz. We're stars."
Sounds like June.
So I did put that damn paper down to go get us some hamburgers. So that was kind of a writing on the wall that it was time for me to, head maybe off into another.
Time for you to head into academia. And those holes in the floor matter because they're dancing.
I know.
Oh, yeah. We always look out for that.
Oh,
yes,
man.
indeed.
So
and they are.
So I'm wondering how we fit in then something else. So you've got a loving family that's all together in Oakland. You got this musical talent that's coming out in church and whatnot. This, in part, I'm just tiptoeing back a little bit here.
Yeah.
And at some point, we've got Bonnie and you, Anita, being founding members of the Northern California Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
So how does that come about? And Fritz, you're involved.
Through Fritz.
Yeah, exactly. Fritz too.
That's how I got involved, through my brother Fritz. He was teaching when he came back from college, and he was teaching Black history to Black kids in Oakland who had never had any Black history. We didn't get nothing in school except you're from cotton pickers. That's what you're all about. That's all you contributed to this country.
And making peanut butter.
And making peanut butter. That was it.
Yeah.
But Fritz got me involved, and we were friendly with the Panther Party, but we were a different group. Fritz was into a more teaching, instead of fighting. He wasn't promoting guns, and he was promoting education and learning.
I was very fortunate, Michele, to have a mentor. His name was Dr. Mudavana Patterson, and he was a PhD from Berkeley, California, and he was so close. We were brothers. We would travel to Africa 3 times together. We went to Libya, we went to Egypt, we went to Tanzania together, and he was my mentor. And he advised me because Oakland, it was a very, and is still a very sophisticated city politically, and the infrastructure was very highly developed politically, with all kinds of organizations, including the NAACP and Urban League and CORE and RAM and SNCC and the Muslims and all of those were there. The Paul Robeson Society, and my mentor took me to all these different organizations to meet their leadership, but he advised me not to join any of them. He said, you should know who they are, but don't join any of them. And I understand that now, and understood it a bit later, that it allowed me to work with anybody. It allowed me to work with them without being pigeonholed into a particular mold. And I think if there is another theme that comes out of our family, and that is a fierce individualism. There is a fierce individualism among my sisters. I mean,
well, you could see it even how they took to the stage, that fierce individualism.
We were so different.
The way they dressed, and Anita would perhaps give you some background on the Esther Phillips encounter. Oh God! I mean, oh dear.
Well, we were being practical. We were getting this little $15 a show, and and we used that to get us a little bit of something to eat and save it up to pay our rent.
Amazing.
But she gave us that and told us to go to Learner's, this cheapy store in Oakland. She said, go to Learner's and buy you some outfits for the stage. Get something that's matching. We were coming on stage with our bell-bottom jeans, with the Rolling Stones tongue on the back, on the booty. And we were rock and roll, But that was not what she wanted. She wanted us to dresses like she wore evening gowns, and we're up there in jeans. But we didn't have money to buy no new wardrobe. We had been performing in jeans with Elvin Bishop, with Taj Mahal, with all the San Francisco people that we worked with at that time. They accepted us in jeans. But not Esther Phillips.
And we're going to come back to the stage presence, because you all also did something that folks call the crossover and stuff like that too. As you were talking about, you were already rock and roll. But I, start off with this question with regard to the Panthers, because you also were educated and you brought a vision of education. And you're absolutely right, Fritz. And thinking even about the Panthers and their early work was about educating kids, providing free lunches to kids, all these things that weren't being done. And I wonder then how being politically aware, being socially aware, being committed to the uplift of Black people, how that informed then your music as you started out. Was that ever part of the backdrop in terms of thinking about the formation of the Pointer Sisters?
Mm-hmm. I would say that first hit, Anita, I'm going to let Anita take it from here, though, but that first hit, Yes We Can, Anita has some lyrics in there that I think expresses the kind of political commitment that she's displayed most of her adult life. How can you sit there? What's the rest of it?
Like there's nothing to do, like you don't care what this world's coming to.
Woo!
Lord.
Oh my gosh.
So many needy, so many poor, but love and understanding is the key to the door.
Oh my gosh. And with lyrics like this, audience, and do respect the women of the world. Remember, all you have mothers. We got to make this land a better land than the world in which we live. Oh my gosh, it gives me chills. Lyrics from that song.
Yes.
Me too.
It does.
I mean, I've said to Anita, I said, Anita, you're a griotte. People know about griots, but they don't know about the griottes, the women poets and singers of Africa. And I said, Anita, you are a griotte because her lyrics, her words are so profound. And, I would put her up against the best of poets in terms of her words. She's just been, her words are just amazing. Like that Fairytale that she wrote.
Yeah.
That Elvis said, what did Elvis say about that?
Elvis said it was the story of his life.
Wow. Yes.
Fairytale. And he recorded it on his Elvis Today album. It's on his Elvis Today album.
That's amazing.
And I never got to meet him, but I was sure glad he did my song. I was really thrilled with that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. So we've got the Pointer Sisters end up being formed. You get your first contract, and does the group start off as the 4 or start off as the 3?
4. Ruthie came in. Well, the first contract was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Bonnie and June. But then soon after, because what we did with that Atlantic Records deal, when we did the recordings, we took it back to San Francisco, and our manager threw it across the room up against the wall and broke it to pieces. Pulled the tapes out. It was real to real. He said, this is not what I want you guys to do. Because we got down there, we had songs that we had written, songs that we took down there, and they laughed in our face and told us Black girls can't sing this kind of stuff. You have to sing because we had a country song, jazz song, with Taj Mahal and different stuff. But they said, no, you got to sound like the Jackson 5. Or the Honeycombs.
Mm-hmm.
How did you respond to that, right? I mean, that's so offensive, saying that you can't be you.
We stood there and looked sad. Wasn't anything else we could do. They laughed in our faces. We standing there singing to them some of these songs, and they just started laughing.
Right, because they believe that Black women
very humiliating. I couldn't believe they would do that to us. I couldn't believe it. It was really.
Bonnie had an interesting reply too when they said you got to decide what genre you want to sing. What do you got to decide what you want to sing? And Bonnie's response was, "We have decided.
Right,
we want to sing everything. We want to sing everything.
Right.
We want to sing everything." And I think that's the challenge. I think for a lot of young people coming up now, they're being forced to choose a genre. Mm-hmm. They're being put into a box and saying you got to sing.
That's all you can do.
Well, and you had an intersectional box, right? Because it's the box because of race and it's the box because of sex. I mean, you on both fronts, this is what you can't do, and this is what we're telling you that you. So how did you all navigate that? Did you have, huddle where you sort of huddled together and you said, all right, this is how we're going to do it? Or did you say, okay, well, we want to get our foot in the door and keep our foot in the door, so this is how we'll do it? How did you come to the decision about how you'd move forward after that?
We just really, trying to think of what did we do? We really found it in the music. When we wanted to move forward or do something to impress the people of the world, and we found that in our music. And
And I think David
that seemed
Rubinson.
to, David Rubinson was a great starter for us. He just made everything so wonderful, and he protected us too from all the craziness that's out in this entertainment world.
Mm-hmm. Tell us
He
about
was
that in
very
that
protective.
relationship. What did that? How did that form? Who is he? What did he do?
David
Mm-hmm.
David Rubinson, Bonnie and June were, well, let's see. Bonnie and June was doing some backup singing with this guy named Michael Takamatsu in San Francisco, and he took a tape into David Rubinson's office. He turned Bonnie and June on to David Rubinson, and David played the tape, and he liked Bonnie and June's backup singing, but he didn't like Michael's singing. So but he gave Bonnie a card of his, and me and Bonnie and June went to Texas. And this was, God, was this before? This was before the Atlantic deal. Yeah, before the Atlantic deal, because we hadn't sang with Ellen Bishop yet. Me and Bonnie and June, I met this guy who said he knew all these people in Texas that could get us started, and we wanted to sing. And this was like between the choir and nothing, a new job. I worked at another company. But let's see. So
You went to Houston.
we went to Texas, got stranded in Texas, and Bonnie just happened to have David Rubinson's card in her purse.
Wow.
And we said, well, it won't hurt to try. We tried everybody else, every other friend we know, including Mama. And Mother told us, Mother said, I'll get my baby June home, but you and Anita better get home on your own. You and Bonnie better get home on your own. So we were kind of stuck there and staying in a horrible place with this girl that we had just met because we were stranded. This guy that we went to Texas with abandoned us.
Oh my
He
gosh.
got mad because I think he had other plans for us in Texas.
And you didn't have those plans. You didn't share those plans.
No, we said, you are not going to tell us what to do. We thought he could boss us around. No. Crazy fool. So he put us out. And we didn't know him. He was from there, from Houston. His mother lived there. His sister lived there. And instead of him go out and go stay at other places, he put us out.
Oh my gosh.
So
we've got
a real dog.
We've got the card.
So David, we called David, said he can't hurt, he can't hit us, but he just answered the phone. And he agreed to get us back to Oakland. And he sent tickets for me, Bonnie, and June. And we left Texas and got back to Oakland. And as soon as we got back, he started booking us as backup singers. That's when his backup singing really started with David.
Look at that.
He got us jobs with Sun Bear, with Elvin Bishop and Cold Blood and all these different San Francisco artists. He was the one that got us. He
really got you all started, which then led to you being able to get your first major contract. Yeah. And, Anita.
Yeah, he rescued us from a horrible situation in Texas.
Right.
Wow,
he really did. He rescued us. It was really bad.
Isn't that interesting, that synergy, the fact that all came together in that way, the serendipity of it?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
No, I'm telling you, it was the best times of our lives.
Audience, I am holding this book in my hand and it just feels so magical. You have to go to our website and look at the cover of this book and you will see exactly what you heard Fritz and Anita talking about in terms of their individuality. And it's working. I mean, it's just, and what's interesting is the individuality comes out and it's also seamless. You're not wearing the same things, but it looks so in harmony. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anita, on the very first page of the memoir, you write, "We were thrust into the dizzying world of show business with no professional training other than singing in the choir at our father's church. Not only that, we knew nothing about royalties, songwriting credits, or management fees." So what was it like entering that music industry and then having to learn? Tell us about what did you learn and what would be your advice to people who are coming up just like you were?
Sorry, my phone started ringing. What would it be to for
Yeah,
people
so
coming up.
you didn't have all that experience, and so I wonder what was that like? What were the things that you had to learn? And then we'll get to what advice you have for others. So you didn't know any of those things. Did you have experiences where you're like, I wish we had
Right.
known
We
that?
didn't. Yeah.
Well, people
Well, from
help,
working
like,
in,
Taj Mahal, for example, told them they should get certain kinds of arranging credits and stuff. And other
he
people,
sure did.
and
He
so
was the
there were
first
people.
one to tell us when we had been doing backup singing with a lot of groups, and they get us in the studio and they say, "Now listen to this song. Now, what would you sing behind it?" And me
Mm,
and Bonnie and June would create the background parts, and we were good at it too. And but only we got paid for singing. We would create
Mhm.
them and sing them.
Right, but
And
you were
Taj
actually
Mahal
doing
let us
arranging.
know, yeah, arranging and writing. Taj Mahal was the first one to tell us that, you guys deserve credits on this because you do more than just sing the songs. You're creating, you're arranging the vocals.
arranging, yes, yes, yes,
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But that
But
ownership, the ownership of music comes later, I think, Anita, in terms of recognizing the need to
to own your
own your
publishing.
publishing,
Yeah.
that
And
came,
things like that.
So when
yeah,
did you
But
learn
they don't
about
tell you
that?
that.
So
yeah.
when did you learn about that you had to, own your own music?
I guess I learned about it when I was with Sonny Burke, and he taught me a lot of stuff about the music industry. He had been in it for a long time.
And Sonny
And
Burke is who?
a pianist. He was Smokey Robinson's musical director,
Okay.
Hmm.
and he was the assistant producer on the Pointer Sisters Having a Party album.
Mm.
He produced that with Richard Perry,
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's
yeah,
something then that ends up coming out where you learn. But I imagine that there were a lot of women, perhaps a lot of black musicians, black women musicians who did
that
not
don't
know.
know.
Just don't
Yeah,
know.
I
That's
mean
right.
and a lot of these corporations, they'll pay you off, and you be a ghostwriter, you get paid, but they
Mhm.
take all the credit.
Hmm.
The
Oh,
artist
yeah.
will take all the credit, and you don't have anything to back you up on it because you signed a deal that I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it's hard, Michelle, particularly when you're coming out. Like I said, we came out of a poor circumstance, and beginning to make a living and make money. You're
Mhm.
glad to be able to, to sustain yourself, and you're not thinking so much of the future investment. You're just
Right.
trying to survive, and
Hmm.
and the managers and
Day
producers,
to day.
yeah, they kind of,
And they exploit people. I mean,
oh
there are
yes,
people
oh
who
yeah,
are,
Oh yeah.
very famous, had hits, and then you find out that, they died homeless.
that sort of
Right.
thing,
Exactly. Exactly.
All
like
right.
And that's
Anita
something that
has,
happens
yeah,
all the time.
Anita has
But
songs that she's written that she can't collect on for what, 20 years or something, or
it started off as 57 years. I
Wow.
wrote them and I published them back in the 70s.
Hmm.
And now it's coming to where I think I just have a few more years and I can recoup my publishing on those songs.
That's amazing. So there is a
yeah,
way
so it's,
in which you're still
There's
caught in that.
something,
All right. So I do want to
yeah.
get back slightly to this political, but I'm going to let that go for a bit because President Obama used your record, Yes, We Can, during his presidential campaign in 2008. And there's so much more there. You really, the mold breaking. And then there comes this time in the 70s and the 80s where the Pointer Sisters are everywhere. Everywhere. Everybody's so excited about the Pointer Sisters and whatnot. So when is it that you reach that magical space and what comes with the magic, right? Because there's a lot of work to get to that
mhm.
space where you're on the top of everybody's mind and on the tip of their tongues. But what are the costs of fame?
Oh boy.
I know we're getting deep now.
Well, yeah,
Well,
being away from your family,
yeah, yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah,
that's a real sacrifice
that's a real sacrifice. It
to
sure is.
leave home and have your baby crying, don't go, mommy, don't go. And you
Hmm.
gotta go to the airport and you're not making enough money to take them with you.
Right.
Now,
Right.
these other groups, these white groups, they have money, their deals are with the record companies and they can take their husbands, their kids, and everybody on the road with them because they were giving them enough money to do that. They don't do that with black acts.
Mhm.
You have to work your way through everything.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
God.
yes.
Even when
So
you're selling the
it's really,
record. So even as you are, your
yeah.
name is everywhere, but you're not getting money.
hmm
You're not getting the paid what the white artists are being paid.
No, oh no.
Oh no, never.
Mhm.
No, we're not.
No.
You know, and it's a
Yeah.
shame
Yeah,
that.
getting that top billing is hard. You know, there are some real
Yeah.
traumatic times that are mentioned in the book. Even their first appearance at Las Vegas, I think it was the first, Anita, when June wouldn't come out of the dressing room.
Tell us
Yeah,
about
that
that.
was
Tell
Las
us about
Vegas. I
that.
was thinking about that too, because that's another place where we're pushed into these rooms down the hall. And
Describe
when the
that
other
for
acts, I
our
won't
listeners.
name any other acts, but when they come in, they get a villa, beautiful villa. But we didn't get that, even though we were headlining at Caesar's Palace.
Wait, so for the audience, so that the audience, because I'm holding the book and I'm feeling magic in my hands, you all. But for those of you who haven't yet read the book, and I know you're going to rush out and get it because they're winning all sorts of awards about this book. It is so powerful.
Mhm.
So you're
Isn't that wonderful?
headlining.
Woo.
It is wonderful.
Thank you,
It
Michelle.
So it's
is.
absolutely
And thank you for
wonderful.
your endorsement of it, Michelle.
Hey,
Thank you
well, of
so much.
Yes,
course,
thank you so much. Woo.
of course.
Yeah.
So you all
Mhm.
are headlining in Vegas. And Vegas, of course, had
Mhm.
its race history too. And Frank Sinatra ends
Oh
up,
yeah.
Oh
getting
yeah.
involved in that. And so
Mhm.
tell us about your headlining, but you're not getting the comforts of headlining.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. Well, we didn't even know it because that was the rooms they always gave us, but they were always the rooms at the end of the hall. They were nice big suites with
Mhm.
horrible wallpaper.
At the end of the hall.
That wallpaper screams at you, get out and gamble, get out of the room,
Right,
go and
right,
gamble.
right, exactly. And meanwhile,
But
white acts that aren't even headlining are being provided villas and other
Yeah.
I
kinds of
don't know
treatment.
but I'm talking about those who were headlining,
Okay.
Yeah.
just like we were headlining. Those are the only
Right, but
ones
you're
I
not
know that
getting,
Mhm.
but
we
you
didn't
weren't
get the
getting that.
villas.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah.
get that. We never had a deal.
And
I
why
mean,
was it that June didn't want to come out?
just nerves. It was our very
Nerves.
first time there, our very first time in Vegas, and she was just nervous and
Tired.
stressed, tired and
Exhausted.
stressed. Yeah, because we were working so hard.
They had
I
just
can't
come back
believe how
from
hard.
they had just come back from Midham in France,
Meet
which
them,
is
yeah,
Meedham, okay,
yeah,
from
in
France,
the south of
and
France.
it was like a 3.5, 4 week grueling tour, day after day after day. And June was just exhausted. You know, she had gone through
Mm-hmm.
this terrible traumatic
Mm-hmm.
experience not long before of being, being raped in Oakland by these
Mm-hmm.
guys, and that
Yeah.
traumatized her for the rest of her life.
Yeah, she never got over it. Poor
Never got
baby.
over it. Never got over it, and
Mm-hmm.
so she began to, try a little self medication, but. The doctors first got her on these hard meds, these hard drugs
Mm-hmm.
until she was like in a zombie-like state. This is again just prior to their, advent into the career world. But she was like in a zombie-like state, and mother went over and said, "Hey, I'm taking my baby home."
Mm.
And she took
Mm-hmm.
him out. She
Mm-hmm.
took her out of the hospital and
And
brought
took
her
her
home. And
home.
I was there at the time, and I know mother bathed her and washed her and took her to
Mm-hmm.
movies and held her hand and sang to her. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Fritz. Yeah, this is the backdrop. So, as part of the added texture of a group that's bringing such joy and life to an audience, the backdrop is also the kind of suffering, and enduring things like, the rape, sexual assault against June, and the family and the group having to deal with that. So, I mean, that's attention. They say the show must go on. They
yeah,
must get to
yeah,
the
yeah,
stage, but the audience doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always know just
what's
how
going on?
traumatic what's going on in someone's life
Mm-hmm.
to get you to the stage. So, did June get to the stage?
No, mother had to come and pick her up in
Mm-mm.
a private plane. She wouldn't
Hmm.
come out of
No,
her
she
room.
wouldn't go. She wouldn't go on stage.
She would
So
not go on
we
stage.
had to redo our whole show with three, with
Hmm.
me and Ruthie and Bonnie. We had to redo the show because it was all choreographed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah.
just did it.
And we're talking about the challenges behind the music.
Oh yeah.
And, the things that folks encounter, this is what we get to learn from the book and more. So I'm glad that you're willing to share these experiences with us. And, you talked about, Anita, how hard it can be to leave your child behind because you don't have the money to be able to take your child on tour with you or anybody else. What are some of the other kinds of challenges that you found while everybody's celebrating your music, but behind the scenes, you all are having to deal with things?
Things like,
Go ahead.
I'm going, Fritz.
No,
go on, Fritz.
Oh, I was just going to mention, there are two things I've had come right to mind, and that one is the event when they first did their first public appearance at this club. I think it was called Bimbo's. And and the band members, a couple of the band members, if not all of them, but a couple of them for sure, had on full Ku Klux Klan regalia.
No.
In their very first public appearance.
Yep.
I mean, it's like
Bimbo's in San Francisco.
I mean,
San Francisco. This was not Mississippi audience.
Liberal San Francisco with the band members in Ku Klux Klan. And here they are on stage like four Billie Holidays. And it was like...
Yeah, we could have been singing Strange Fruit.
You could have been.
I'm telling you.
They're coming out singing. They're coming out playing with Ku Klux Klan uniform. That was just
what for? To intimidate them, to frighten them, to hopefully make
them evil.
Just evil. The second one I want to mention is the event at the Grand Ole Opry, when they were told, when they were met with signs saying "Keep country white," basically "Keep country, keep country white."
My goodness.
And they were met with these signs protesting when they were the first.
Before we went in
to perform at the Grand Ole Opry, and that's how they got welcomed to the Grand Ole Opry.
Right. So repeat that again, Fritz. So they were the first black female group?
Black female group to ever perform at the
Grand Ole Opry. Yeah.
First and the last.
And the first black female group to ever get a Grammy for a country song.
Here we go. And there it was. These folks saying that you're not supposed to, you're not allowed to sing country music.
You're not country.
You're not country. And you are the first black female group to win a Grammy in country music.
I mean, when I wrote Fairytale, it wasn't, I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to write a country song. I just started writing a song. Right. And it came out country because I'm country.
You were born in Arkansas.
We grew up in a country church. It was country,
That's right.
Around that.
That's right. No
Yeah,
shame in that.
No shame.
I love the country anyway.
I was really happy that they also, Michele, perpetuated the only classical music of America, and that is jazz to me. Yes. That classical music that my sisters, perpetuated that in their early days with singing the Ellington medleys and singing Duke Ellington and Dizzy Gillespie and those giant jazz musicians, and they came out singing that Cloudburst and what's some of the other Cloudburst and
Salt Peanuts.
Oh my God, Michele, I challenge any group today
to sing that
song.
I know.
I mean, it's such a challenge, and to hear Anita talk about how they learned the song, methodically, day after day, adding a little bit more and adding a little bit more, and until they got it down pat, and boom, here we go. I was blue and I've always wearing a frock.
All of them are really grateful that we kept that genre of music alive,
Yeah.
John Hendricks, he came and saw us and he cried. Annie Ross, same thing with her. She was just so thrilled that we did the songs.
It is the original American music, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
jazz. It really is. But many people came to see in the 70 and 80s, especially in the 80s, a lot of pop music.
Oh, yes.
So tell us about then the 80s, and had that become economically better? And did you see that once there was greater economic stability, did some of the challenges still remain, or did they lift a little bit? And then we'll get to I'm So Excited and some of those songs that just people have swimming in their heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did it get better in the 80s
I think
economically?
that's when Richard Perry is involved, right, Anita?
Yes, it is. When we started doing the Energy album with Fire. Fire was our very first gold single. Because with all the albums we did with David Rubinson, we never had a gold single. We had gold albums, but we didn't have a gold single. And gold single made such a difference. Because I mean, kids will buy singles, you know,
right?
And adults will buy albums, but kids bought singles, and it really just propelled us into a whole nother level when we had that hit with Fire. Bruce Springsteen's Fire. That was really a cool thing.
Yes, and that is, and I'm hearing it right now. Fire, oh yes, burn and burn.
And you know, Michele, that was another challenge too, because they were also told black girls don't sing rock and roll.
Right.
I mean, you can't do country, you can't do rock and roll.
Look at that, and you were just about to give us a little bit of Fire, Anita.
You heard me, didn't you? You heard me. Yeah. I'm riding in your car. You turn on the radio. You're pulling me close. I just say no. I say I don't like it, but you know I'm a liar. 'Cause when we kiss, ooh, fire.
Oh, that is brilliant. Thank you so much.
And Michele, the other one, it became what they call like a female national anthem. Slow Hand.
Yes.
I know.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole lot of women trembling about that. Now they
I know.
I was wondering if Anita give us a little bit of Slow Hand.
Oh, Lord. As the midnight moon was drifting through the lazy sway of the trees, I saw the look in your eyes looking into mine, seeing what you wanted to see. Darling, don't say a word, 'cause I already heard what your body's saying to mine. I'm tired of fast moves. I've got a slow groove on my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I want a man with a slow hand. I want a lover with an easy touch. I want somebody who will spend some time, not come and go in a heated rush. I want somebody who will understand. When it comes to love, I want a slow hand.
Woo!
And that's the truth.
You guys are amazing. You know, I was trying my little harmony and I couldn't get in there. I
wasn't even gonna try on it. Yeah,
you guys, I mean, how did the harmony and Michele, the way they stand on stage again is according to I guess what do you call it when you sing soprano or tenor or bass? Because they have a name for that, I thought, but anyway. Ruth sings the low notes, Anita's next, and then comes Bonnie, and then June sings the high notes. So it just kind of worked out organically.
No, it was really Ruth, Bonnie, then me, and then June.
And then June. Oh.
I sang higher than Bonnie. I was above Bonnie.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
You teach your brother something there.
I mean, Bonnie had one of those parts. You got a 4-part harmony. You got to kind of filter in on and Bonnie was so gifted, so talented with doing that. Sometimes she would be singing higher than me. But as a rule, I had the soprano. June had the top soprano.
You had a contralto.
And Bonnie had an alto, and Ruth had the bass.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the successes then, right? So what are we talking about in terms of the path breakingness, the Grammys and whatnot?
Well,
Talk about what now?
Yeah,
Can you
your
repeat?
Grammys. So what have you won Grammys for? Like the successes that came about from your music, right? I'm
Yeah, we
thinking
have
about
to.
the Grammy for, for the country music and so much
Yeah,
more, right? That
and
people don't
let's
necessarily associate or know.
maybe she should talk a little bit about participation in things like "We Are the World"
Yes, yes,
and,
exactly. That was
and
huge too.
musical misbehavior.
that was
Yes,
good.
that was
What a
absolutely
night!
huge.
What a night! Spending the night at A&M Studios, and the sign at the door said, "Leave your egos at the door." And everybody
People may
came
not
in.
remember that.
Oh,
Yeah, but there was a night of just, everybody you could, Stevie Wonder, Harry Belafonte, Quincy Jones, Tina
Michael
Turner,
Jackson. Oh,
Look
yeah.
at
Michael
that.
Jackson, Lionel Richie, and I
That
got a
was.
chance to spend the night with all these fabulous men.
But it's amazing to think about just those enormous and
you know,
impactful successes. Yes, Fritz.
yeah, and Michelle, what comes to mind too is their refusal to play South Africa, because sometimes you sacrifice in that
Yeah,
way too. You say,
yeah.
hey, the money
Because the
isn't worth
money
it.
is good. The
Yeah,
money's good. So,
yeah,
and
but it's
we're
not.
hot now. So let's go,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
regardless of
Mm-hmm.
what they've done to my people. That is not cool at all.
And
right.
so
We
you
have
all
to take
made
them.
those decisions as well, that there were going to be
Yeah.
places that you would refuse to play, no
Yes.
matter
Yeah. With
what money.
apartheid,
Yes.
I'm telling you, if
Oh
I
yeah.
was out of the country, I might refuse to play in the United States. Well, let me go say that.
Well, there are people thinking about those decisions. Uh,
It's so wrong. Everything needs to change. They need to scrap it and start all over again.
well,
Oh,
this is
Oh
interesting
God.
too because the backdrop, what these times mean. January 6th, we saw the insurrection at the nation's capital.
yeah.
We were in the backdrop of not only that tragic killing of George Floyd, but also Breonna Taylor and just lists of people,
I
but just
mean, all the
lists.
way from Trayvon Martin to Rodney King. It's just,
Absolutely.
Oscar Grant.
All of that.
there's
And
so many.
in thinking about your refusal to play in South Africa, I'm thinking about Laura Ingraham, who is a television personality,
Oh,
who told LeBron James that he should, quote, shut up and dribble
And dribble.
after he spoke
Yes.
about the challenges that
And
come
that's
with being
something.
Black in America, right? And
Right,
it seems
right.
to me
Oh, I
that
can't
you
stand
all
that.
made, even though you were entertaining, you were bringing such great music to people, you were also making important political points as well. And that's what we also get from your music.
yes.
Before we
Yeah.
wrap up, because this is going by way too quickly,
Oh, okay.
but way too quickly.
Been fun.
But I also want to ask about loss, because there's also been loss over time too. And how have you dealt with loss? Because the Pointer sisters, you started off as four, and over time you've had sisters who've passed away. So
Yeah.
how has that been?
Oh, very hard. It started off with the loss of my daughter, my only child. And that was that whole decade from 2000 when my mom died,
To 2000. Yeah.
2003, my daughter died, 2006, my sister died. And that whole decade was just horrible, just really, really, really bad. And I mean, it's been now 18 years since my daughter died,
Which
but
is
I'm still thinking about it every single day. I cry a lot about her. I miss her so, so much. And the same with my sisters. I miss them, especially right now. It's kind of focused on Bonnie because it's so fresh. Yesterday was her anniversary of her death. She died June the 8th, 2020.
That's right. That's her picture back there, by the way, Michelle.
Yeah,
What a
that's her behind
beautiful,
me.
beautiful, beautiful
My
image.
baby sister. God, I love her. And it's not easy. I have to find new ways to do things because we were doing so much together. And it's a whole different way of thinking about things now when I don't have her here and her to bounce things off of and can't call her. And, we have gotten really, really close.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
And
it's just sad.
Lizzie's dad, whom you know well, and we both know well, who were with him in his last hours and minutes, actually, wrote poems for each of those deaths. Wrote
he sure did.
a poem for my mother, wrote a poem for June, and wrote a beautiful poem.
Wrote a poem for Jada. Yeah, every time I read it, I cry.
It's a beautiful poem. So
beautiful.
People will enjoy that too, about the book in terms of its variety. The photos are fantastic.
Yes, the photos are absolutely amazing in the book. They are absolutely great. And this picture of Bonnie on the cover of Jet.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's some power there.
And by the way, Michele, can I mention too that along with our stellar Congress people like Barbara Lee and Ron Dellums, Kamala Harris also attended our father's church.
Yes.
That's something we just found out about. We're hoping that she learned some lessons there.
Yes.
We're hoping so. After this trip to Guatemala and telling the Guatemalans to stay home, I'm not.
I know.
But anyway,
I know that was kind of crude. They said they're going to try to work on giving them reason to not want to go.
Yes.
And if that can happen, that would be ideal, of course. So that means taking some of the jobs down there and instead of sitting on the Thailand.
Wow.
Yeah, so wherever, that's right.
Wherever they send
so much of your music.
Not Thailand. I love Thailand. I forgot.
So much of your music has been about liberation and about uplift and liberation for people of color, liberation for women of color, Black women. And one just can't help but celebrate that in the book. One can't help but just notice all of the awards that you've won. 1981 Grammy Pop Performance for a Duo or Group, 1982 R&B Performance Duo or Group, 1982 Pop Performance Duo or Group, R&B 86 Best Pop Performance for a Duo or Group, 1975 Country Music Performance by Duo or a Group, 1985 Vocal Arrangements for 2 or more voices, 1985 Pop Performance by Duo or a Group, and so much more. I mean, there are accolades that you all are just shy about, but I want to lift them out to the world and to our readers.
Thank you, Michele.
Oh, absolutely. Got to drop the coins.
Thank you.
And I think one of the highlights of your memoir, which you don't see in a lot of memoirs, they give you just a taste of a few photos, but audience, you get your hands on this book and page 176 through page 241, you get just wonderful, beautiful photos that mark that show the family, that show them on the stage, and you get a chance to see how you can be in church, how you can be collective and individual at the same time. I mean, I think that there are more books within this book yet to be written, just in terms of how so many women today, one, they say, they struggle from imposter syndrome. They wonder, how they can be the fullness of themselves and so much more. So I'm hoping we have another conversation about all of this. But before we close, the last question, which we ask all of our guests, is about a silver lining. And we are celebrating and recognizing Juneteenth. We're excited about it. We are celebrating the Pointer sisters. And I'm just wondering what you see as silver linings coming forward from Arkansas to Oakland and around the whole world. I'll start with you, Fritz. What's a silver lining coming forward?
Well, Michele, for me, I'm hoping that the industry will be more open and receptive to artists in a variety of genres, that they will not limit artists and box them in. I'm hoping that they'll be more receptive to them. I'm thinking now of this young Black female saxophonist by the name of Jasmine Gent. And I'm also thinking of this new country western singer who who did this song "Black Like Me," I think is what it's
Oh
called.
yeah.
Oh,
That was a
yes,
good
she's
one.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is great.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that they will open up more and be more receptive to the variety that people bring to the industry, and not just be so closed-minded and restrictive and try to lock people into one particular. I think it was Herbie Hancock who said that, to limit artists to one mode of expression is a crime. And I
Yes.
think so too. I think, to limit artists to just one mode of expression is criminal. And and I also think like Nietzsche, who said that life without music would be a mistake.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
say.
Yes.
I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine a time. I mean, oh my God.
So those
Anita?
are my
Even us.
silver linings. My silver linings are that they'll be more open and less racist.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And for you, Anita, silver lining going forward?
Well, I think that at least we're now beginning to see a vague closeness to the silver lining, because people are opening up and telling the truth.
Mm.
And that's been needed for so long. I mean, when I watched that thing about the Tulsa massacre, and they said nobody talked about it.
Mhm.
Even
Right.
the ones who lived in Tulsa. He said, I went to school in Tulsa and I didn't hear nothing about it in school.
Yeah.
Those kind of things that are hidden from this whole culture in America, that they're so great. They rescued everybody, rescued the Indians from their they were savages and we rescued them. No, they need the truth.
Guests and listeners, that's it for today's episode of On the Issues with Michele Goodwin at Ms. Magazine. I want to thank each of you for tuning in for the full story and engaging with us. We hope you'll join us again for our next episode, where we'll be reporting, rebelling, and telling it just like it is. For more information about what we discussed today, head to MsMagazine.com and be sure to subscribe. And if you believe, as we do, that women's voices matter, that equality for all persons cannot be delayed, and that rebuilding America and being unbought and unbossed and reclaiming our time are important, then be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to On the Issues with Michele Goodwin at Ms. Magazine in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever it is that you receive your podcast. We are ad-free and reader-supported. Help us reach new listeners by bringing this hard-hitting content in which you've come to expect and rely upon by subscribing. Let us know what you think about our show, and please support independent feminist media. Look for us at MsMagazine.com for new content and special episode updates. And if you want to reach us, please do so. Email us at ontheissues@MsMagazine.com. We do read our mail. This has been your host, Michele Goodwin, reporting, rebelling, and telling it just like it is. On the Issues with Michele Goodwin is a Ms. Magazine joint production. Michele Goodwin and Kathy Spiller are our executive producers. Our producers for this episode are Roxy Zoll, Oliver Hogg, and also Allison Whelan. Our social media content producer is Sophia Panagrahi. The creative vision behind our work includes art and design by Brandy Phipps, editing by Natalie Holland, and music by Chris J. Lee.